Good morning, dear students. Now, we will start with the qualitative analysis of organic compounds. So, what is qualitative analysis? Qualitative analysis means it suggests us what is the compound having elements in it. So, first we will continue with the qualitative analysis and then the quantity, that how much it is. Here first what is present and then how much is present. So the first is detection of carbon and hydrogen. Now in qualitative analysis, why the detection of carbon and hydrogen is to be taken as a first step? Because we are analyzing organic compounds and we know that the organic compound basically consists carbon and hydrogen. Along with carbon and hydrogen, there are other functional groups which consist nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, halogen. So that comes the next. First of all, carbon and hydrogen is to be detected. We know that analysis of ionic compound when is done, then ionic compound are salts. And when salts are analyzed, what is present in it? Ions are present in it. Cations and anions are separated. But when organic compound is analyzed, then it consists carbon and hydrogen and one or the other functional groups. So, to make sure about the organic compound, that what is there along with carbon and hydrogen, the first step is to detect the carbon and hydrogen. Then and only then the other elements which are present can be detected. So, in the first step, carbon when reacts with copper oxide and heated, it separates copper and carbon dioxide. So, carbon dioxide is produced. Now, when these carbon dioxide pass through the lime water, we know since long that when carbon dioxide gas is passed through lime water, then the lime water turns turbid milky. Turbid, that means some precipitates, white precipitates with whitish water is present. And these gives us the idea that yes, the compound is containing carbon. And copper oxide when reacts with the carbon compound, that means organic compound, and if the presence of hydrogen is there, then definitely copper and water is separated. Right? H2O separate and CuPPTs remain. That means water is separated and the precipitates of copper will settle down as a sedimentation. Now the presence of hydrogen is also confirmed. That means the confirmation of carbon and hydrogen can be done by the confirmative test. The confirmative test is when carbon dioxide produced on reaction with copper oxide reacting with carbon, then copper and carbon dioxide is produced. This carbon dioxide when reacts with lime water, that is calcium hydroxide, it converts to calcium carbonate, white PPTs, and water is separated. These white PPTs is because of the presence of carbon, and the water which is present when reacts with copper sulfate. Now this copper sulfate is anhydrous. Anhydrous, that means there is no amount of water present in it. No moisture is there. And at that time it is white in color. When it reacts with water, then because of the reaction of water with it, it should convert in peacock blue color, and when it converts peacock blue color with pentahydrate water, that is copper sulfate pentahydrate, turns to peacock blue because of the presence of hydrogen. So thus it is detected that the compound contains carbon because of the white PPTs and color change because of the hydrogen. These all in the reaction form is mentioned, but in the laboratory this is taking place in the combustion tube complex apparatus. This is a combustion tube and these are the U-tube attached to it, and this is the container for the copper oxide. What is here? Here with the combustion tube, one outlet is shown from which pure dry oxygen is to be added. Why dry oxygen? Because we are in need to detect carbon and hydrogen. So for hydrogen there should not be any moisture present. Otherwise detection will be not of carbon and hydrogen, and it will be along with the moisture components which are present along with the water. So no moisture should be there, and that is why anhydrous, that is dry oxygen, is to allow to pass in. At the same time, with the Bunsen burner, in a platinum crucible, a boat type crucible, a sample is kept, organic sample. As soon as the organic sample is heated and the oxygen is passed through it, the combustion takes place and it passes through this chamber where copper oxide pellets are kept. These copper oxide pellets that means they are in a small tablets like form. When this compound, dry oxygen and the compound's vapor passes through it and reacts with copper oxide, as I have shown here, when it reacts with copper oxide, it will, if carbon is present, it will give carbon dioxide. If hydrogen present, it will give watery touch. So to look that is why here no moisture is to be allowed. If moisture is allowed from here, that means if, and not anhydrous, but if a moisture oxygen is allowed to enter from here, then from first only the hydrogen will be there. So the presence of hydrogen in this compound is there, that can't be detected. So dry oxygen is added, and even though dry oxygen is added, but when it reacts with copper oxide, it will give the water and carbon dioxide with reacting oxygen. So first, the presence of carbon dioxide and H2O is now allowed to pass further, and in first tube anhydrous calcium chloride is added, and in second U-tube potassium hydroxide solution is added. Why these two different U-tube and why these two different components are added? Because if anhydrous calcium chloride is there, then it is the nature is desiccant. Desiccant, that means which can absorb the moisture. So if hydrogen is produced in the reaction, then these calcium chloride anhydrous will absorb it, and if not, then it will not absorb and it will remain as it is. And here potassium hydroxide solution has a tendency to dissolve the carbon dioxide. So if carbon dioxide is produced, then in this U-tube it will get dissolved in KOH. So CO2 and H2O, then H2O will get absorbed on anhydrous calcium chloride. Anhydrous, that means which is completely moisture free, and thus H2O will be absorbed here, and then the remaining amount of the carbon dioxide gas, if present, will pass and go through the next tube in which KOH is there, which will dissolve the carbon dioxide gas, and excess of oxygen will be removed out. So this is how in this apparatus hydrogen and carbon are separated. Thus, by the use of this apparatus, not hydrogen directly, but H2O and carbon dioxide in respective U-tube 1 and U-tube 2, they are separated. Now, after getting water, that is H2O from anhydrous calcium chloride, which is now not anhydrous because H2O is absorbed on it. But as we know that in first tube it was anhydrous calcium chloride, so for the sake of our idea, I have written here that after getting H2O from the anhydrous calcium chloride is heated and the vapors will rise up. These vapors condenses and water will be collected. Then the collected water is added to copper sulfate, which will turn to sulfate pentahydrate, which converts to blue color. And thus, the first U-tube suggests or says the presence of hydrogen is proved. In U-tube second, the carbon dioxide is extracted from KOH solution and it is passed through the lime water, which turns white or milky, right? Thus, on decomposition, now what happens? The white precipitates, they are calcium carbonate. So, decomposition of white precipitates takes place and carbon is separated and it is collected. So, carbon and hydrogen is detected in step 2. Now, in step 1. Now, after completion of step 1, the step 2 is to be followed, and it is to be followed because what are the other elements? That elements are to be detected and identified. The other elements to be detected can be nitrogen, can be sulfur, can be halogen or phosphorus, right? And now here, to detect this nitrogen, sulfur, halogens, phosphorus, the Lessines extract is to be prepared. So today here I'll discuss about the Lessines extract, and then in the next video we'll see the test of the respective elements present in the organic compound. Now to prepare the Lessines extract, the covalent compound are converted to the ionic compounds. Now we know that covalent compounds are not having any positive or negative ions. So for Lessines extract, they are converted to ionic compound. And why it is needed to convert? Because covalent compounds show very slow reactions. So, because to make the reaction faster, they are in need to convert ionic compound. To convert them to ionic compound, they are reacted with sodium. And we all know that sodium is the most reactive metal, and when organic covalent compound reacts with them, that means reacts with the sodium. Sodium is highly electropositive and organic compound are far more electronegative than the sodium. So when covalent compound react with sodium, the sodium will be positive ion and covalent compound will be negative ion or will be the part of the negative ion. And thus, with the presence of positive and negative ions, covalent compounds are converted to ionic compound. Now, how is the Lessines extract prepared? Or the Lessines extract are also called sodium fusion extract. So, in laboratory, covalent compounds are fused with sodium in a fusion tubes. Now, fusion tubes are very, very, very thin. That means the diameter of the fusion tubes is very, very less. It is like capillary tube. Even in the refill, if you see the refills of your pen, right? Out of this refill, you can make nearly 10 capillaries. So now you think what would be the diameter of that tubes, right? Mostly in your 12th standard, you will be practicing for the fusion tube practicals. So in laboratory, covalent compounds are fused with sodium in a fusion tubes, which is heated. Now, and sodium, so that what happens when you take that fusion tubes, in that you have to fill up first the covalent compound, that is organic compound, and after filling organic compound, sodium is filled in it. Then the tube is heated. It is heated red hot, and as soon as the heating starts and it catches more and more temperature, the sodium suddenly catches fires, and thus the combustion starts, which allows the fusion in the tubes. That means the compound will start mixing with the sodium. At the same time, the red hot fusion tube is plunged into the water trough. Plunged, that means it is to be thrown into the water trough and it bursts. Where it will burst, it will get broke. At the same time, the reaction will take place and the reacted ionic compound will go into the water. Trough, that means the container filled with the water, right? A big beaker, or we say tub like material. This ionic compound which has gone into the water is called sodium fusion extract, or it is called Lassigne's extract, because the experiment was done by the scientist Lassagne. Now the extracts may be like this. If the compound which is taken, that is organic compound which is taken, and if it contains nitrogen, see, carbon will be there. Then it is sodium plus carbon plus nitrogen, sodium cyanide. If sulfide is there, then sodium sulfide. If halogen, chlorine, bromine, iodine, then it may be sodium chloride, or sodium iodide, right? So this may be the sodium fusion extract. This cyanide, sulfide and halide of the sodium, which is formed in the from the fusion tubes, then they are extracted from that mass. From the water trough they are taken. How they are taken? They are taken by boiling with distilled water. This is to be taken in consideration, distilled water, because if distilled water is not there and if tap water is taken, then tap water may consist some other minerals and other salts. So instead of this, the reaction may start with the other minerals, other salts, and the proper test won't take place. So boiling the mass with the distilled water is then cooled, and the extract is further used for the respective nitrogen, sulfur, halogen test. This is called Lassigne's extract or sodium fission extract. That is the step 2. Right? Now in the next video, we will see the other detection test for the respective elements present in organic compound. Thank you.